Good evening, everyone. We call this September meeting of the Hopewell Borough Council to order. Reggie, if you wouldn't mind doing the sunshine state.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by a notice mailed to the Hopewell Valley News and the Trenton Times, posted on the bulletin board at Borough Hall and filed with the Borough Clerk as required by law.
Great. Could join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Kennedy.
Here.
Anthony Fuller is excused. Ms. Huff. Here. Mr. Mackey.
Here.
Ms. Steeler. Here. Ms. Weaver. I'm back, baby. Ms. Delaney. Here.
First item on the agenda, a report of our Director of Public Works and Water and Sewers, which is provided in the packet. If anyone has any questions for our administrator on those, now will be the time. If not, again, at every meeting, we wanted to have a consistent time to provide an update or information on the upcoming now referendum on the sale of our water system. The big one, as a reminder, I myself got one today. Hopefully, if you haven't, you'll get something in the mailbox reminding everyone that next Thursday, September 11th at 7 o'clock, right here, is the next of our information and outreach sessions. There'll be a presentation and then an opportunity to ask the borough's experts and New Jersey American Water, the prospective purchaser, questions about the sale. It will be in person and online live via Zoom, like we do all of our council meetings, and will be recorded and then posted to the website afterwards, which actually we also do for all our council meetings. So if you're not aware of that, just a note that the borough has a YouTube channel that has all of our last 2 years of council meetings. If you ever want to look back and take a look. So with that, David or Chair, anyone has any other bit of an update on that? No? Thank you so much. And I just want to thank particularly the Water Committee, our professionals, have done a lot of work that's gone into putting information together for that session. The slides actually are up on the website in advance if anyone wants to look at them, but I do encourage people to not just look at them, but they are not intended to be a standalone document. There is discussion and commentary presentation that goes with it. So viewing them with the presentation is the ideal way to take a look. With that, I'll open up our meeting to our first public comment section. Mayor and Council will take comments first from members of the public attending in person, then from members of the public attending via Zoom. Speakers will be limited to 5 minutes. No immediate action can be taken on any public comment issue. To make a comment or ask a question during the meeting via Zoom, please use the raise hand feature and we will recognize you when it is your turn to speak. I'll also note that there are 3 ordinances with second readings and public hearings. So if you are desiring to put something on the record about one of our ordinances, we'll listen to it now, but the ideal time would be during the public hearing of those 3 things, being our updated property maintenance, our abandoned property registration, and funding ordinance for our Department of Public Works. So with that, if you wouldn't mind just giving your name and addressing
Melissa Cookman, a Hopewell resident for a couple years already. The first thing I wanted to say is pedestrian safety, all that stuff. Twice this week, flying through the lights, the flashing lights, pedestrians not paying attention and using the flashing lights. So I was away this summer, and I thought this was really smart and something we might be able to do. And it says stop, wait, and wait. So you stop, you wait, you look, you wave to the person, they acknowledge you, and then it's safe to cross. And I thought it might be something, even though that's a county road, if we put it, I don't know whether we're allowed to do that, but otherwise on the part where, you're waiting. And I thought just at all those crosswalks, because we all know the problem and there isn't a real solution, but I just thought this might work. So I brought this for you all to see.
Where did you take that?
In Maine.
In Maine.
And what they also have, which we spoke about before a long time ago, Ryan, they have artists come and do the stripes. And they're not stripes, they're like a rainbow or just something creative. And also it speaks to our town.
Yeah.
So we looked into that, and according to the MUPCD, which is the Manual for Uniform Traffic Control Devices, which
I'm impressed.
I know you knew,
I'm
but
impressed.
anyway, for everyone else, I was saying. Basically the county said no. So it's something that we could try and do on one of our municipal roads, but as of right now, the county is not, it's very.
Because there are a lot of roads that aren't county roads where we don't do that.
So we have looked into doing that, and you know, I have some ideas for municipal crosswalks that would be good for. But again, it's just an issue of like funding and then hitting it.
Well, I bet the Arts Council could come up with a group of people that would be so happy to go and paint the road.
You're correct, and we've had some preliminary discussions with the Arts Council. There is they didn't do it this year, but the Bloomberg Foundation does a grant specifically on that we've looked into. So it's one of those things where some of the legwork has been done, and it would be phenomenal. Particularly it speaks to our commitment to being safer, but it's a way to also beautify and put a stamp on the downtown. So it's a really cool idea.
So anyway, and I think this might just wake some. I mean, I saw a woman crossing the street with her arms full of coffee and doesn't hit the button, and the car's flying past, and I'm like, huh? So anyway.
Pedestrians do have the right of way, so I mean, they don't necessarily.
Yes, but the cars don't know that.
I'm just saying, like, she's well within her rights to do that.
Oh, absolutely. But what you're saying, she's not taking
Yeah, but
advantage.
as far as the paint and the stamp, I don't see why we can't like run it up the flagpole to the county and see what they think about it.
I don't think if we, okay, I don't know that you have to do that with the county if you do it not on the road.
Having the right of way doesn't mean that you don't have an obligation to look both ways. Take out your earbuds, but stop looking at your phone and actually pay attention to what you do.
Well, you're asking a lot.
I know it's asking a lot, and it's also way too much language to stencil on the ground. I know, I'm just saying.
Okay, idiots, pay attention.
That's a good one. I like that.
Listen, but before that, I'll note that it looks like those was maybe a templated one that was spray painted. I don't know what is that?
Yes.
Yeah. There
I
are
believe
also.
it's fabulous thing to do, and I outlined it in black because the yellow didn't come up on my.
And I wonder if that's part, I mean, you think that's part of a public information campaign, sort of.
Oh, yeah, because they have
heads
the
up,
straight
well,
things
where like that phrase has
And
meaning because it's,
And the town where it is has, it's two sides of the street, very busy, got people going back and forth all the time. So I just thought, stop waving. The wave, I think, is really like, good. Anyway,
Yeah.
all right, so that was the first thing. That was the easy one. I'd like to know why the planning board meeting was canceled yesterday.
So the planning board meets when there are applications to be heard. Number 9.
I had a question for them, and now I have to wait a month. I don't think a board meeting should be canceled just because the group doesn't have anything to say. We're the public, we have every right to, and I don't, so that means you guys could just say, yeah, we're not having a meeting, there's nothing really important to talk about.
Well,
I just find that problematic.
let me.
I could ask the questions here, but you guys always tell me I have to ask the planning board.
Well, one.
57.
Let me try to address that.
Sure.
The planning board, as part of our government, their role is very specific to acting on applications that are before them. They do accept, I guess, questions generally, but their role is very specific to if there is a matter before them. And if there's not, they actually don't really have a role.
Then why do they always have open to the public comment?
When there's an existing meeting.
Right,
There's
but
nothing on the
suppose the
agenda.
public has a question and there's not a meeting, you can't.
That is a requirement of the Open Public Meetings Act. Any meeting has that, but just to be honest with you, their role, if they're working on something for the master plan, an affordable housing plan, or an application, they are what's called a quasi judicial body. They're more like judges, kind of sitting, and someone brings something before them, they did variance, they end up approval, and they decide whether it meets the requirement or not. So they don't really have, and one of our members of the, I don't mean this in a negative way, they don't have like kind of a general responsibility or repository of knowledge. They try to be helpful. We do too when we're there. So my suggestion, particularly if there are questions that are not related to actual planning board application that they're hearing, that you probably get, maybe not, I'll say better information. I don't mean that they're not gonna give you the right answer. But reaching out to our administrator or to one of us, it's likely it's a topic that someone who's not on the planning board would be more likely to get the answer to.
Thank you, because I just didn't understand why.
And if I could just add another point, I think if you had nothing to act on. And you just convened a meeting with basically nothing on the agenda, you're also paying your professionals to be there,
That's true.
which, you know, so just in terms of cost, it's not, it's
No,
not,
that's,
you know, obviously
no,
you have
thank
something to
you.
do, but.
Yeah, I didn't think of that.
Makes an issue, so.
I mean, not everyone is a volunteer.
Well,
This one's, the block party, which is a nonprofit, is my understanding, registered nonprofit, is that correct? Promoted tickets indicating which two, groups, organizations would receive money as a result. And money was given to one that wasn't mentioned. That is a misappropriation of funds. There is a legal remedy. If I contributed, if I signed up for something and then all this good stuff, and then they're giving money to something I don't believe in, or that I don't think is appropriate, and I'd like to know, I just think I think it's a legal issue. And I've done research on it and,
Melissa, let me just say, one, I'm not that nonprofit's attorney. So I'm not going to speak necessarily about your legal concern. That's also not something that it's not a borough program or organization.
so that isn't a borough program?
It is a 501c3 nonprofit that runs an event. That
So,
people make donations to.
so-
I do myself. I was happy to.
But they're not doing what they say they're doing. If you gave money to Obama and Clinton and then they added Trump in there, some of you might be happy, other people would not be happy. But my point is that was, so who do I take that to?
That's
Them?
Yeah, that the people that you made the donation to.
Okay, and they're sitting here, but they can't answer it because it's not from the town. Is that correct?
I mean, if they wanted to answer it, I think that's, I mean, if you were to ask me about a nonprofit that I volunteered on or something in my private life, I would probably decline to answer it, and I'm not
Okay.
gonna put them on the spot and require them to do that. I
can
happen to have
respect that.
received a letter from them explaining it. Perhaps they're here.
Okay,
Um,
well, I can't imagine what explanation it is for taking money and putting it someplace where it was not dedicated for and announced, because when you make a donation or a contribution, you expect it to go where it's going.
No,
So-
I'm not gonna get into what a restricted contribution is, or when you make a contribution to a nonprofit, you actually don't have a say in what they do in it.
Actually,
So if you made a if you made a restricted donation or donor restricted funds, then you do.
well, then it's just immoral then, okay, but I can speak to them directly.
You should do that, you know.
Okay. Okay. I think that's all I have to say, and I'm disappointed in that answer, but I assumed it had, because it's always promoted in the borough events and things, so I thought it had, some connection to the.
There are lots of events that happen in town that
That's
are
true,
promoted.
that's true. I
This
just,
is one of them.
that's
I
my
will-
assumption, I will address it with, the appropriate people.
There you go.
Thank you, thank you.
Melissa, can you give the picture of the sidewalk thing?
Oh, you want
here?
that?
Please give it to her.
Very official.
Anyone else here in person, or start pushing your raised hand buttons online? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to close the first of many public comment opportunities this evening. So moved. Do I have a second? All right, all in favor? Aye. All right, next item on our agenda is the minutes from our August regular meeting. I'll take a motion of those who are eligible. Do I have a second?
Second.
We did this by roll call? Or I'm sorry.
We don't. but if you
Okay,
want-
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed and all abstaining due to schedule conflicts. Yeah, thank you. Okay, our next three items, each will have their own public comment period. The first, item 8, ordinance 903. This is the second reading, public hearing of the vacant and abandoned property registration ordinance. Reggie, if you could, read by title.
An ordinance of the Borough of Hopewell, County of Mercer, New Jersey, regarding registration and maintenance for vacant and abandoned property and creating a new chapter of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Hopewell, 1975.
Brief explanation on this one, but this is additional tools for the borough to make sure that unused, underused, or abandoned properties are registered, are secured, and with some tools to encourage their more quick, I'll say, reuse. There's a registration fee that escalates throughout the program. I want to thank particular our prior administrator, Doug, worked on this quite a bit as he was in his final months or so, and Lisa Maddox, our attorney, quite a bit as well. Unless anyone else has any comments or questions, apologies. Also, our OEM, Hopewell Valley Emergency Services, had some input on this as well. I want to thank Andy Facina and his team for their help. With that, then I'll open the meeting to the public for questions, comments, or public testimony on ordinance 903. If you're a person, come on up. If you're on the online, push the raise hand button. Seeing none, I will take a motion to close this portion of the meeting to the public.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, I will take a motion to adopt ordinance 903.
I have just,
Sure.
it's the same comment that I had last month about it, about if
Oh,
any more about the actively marketed.
Yeah.
By its owner for sale or rental, like, I just wanna make sure that that's
So
enough of a.
with apologies if it didn't make the memo that came with the other one, we didn't talk about that, and that was viewed as an example, and I guess amongst a list of things, so that is being marketed. My understanding is not something that would save a property in itself.
Okay, so that is just, okay,
That was a good call, though.
yeah, that was,
Well,
yeah.
I'm selling it.
Yeah, like I have that little for sale, I have that little for rent sign. in the window.
On the front door.
Yeah.
Lisa, I just want to make sure I'm not misremembering that though, but that was kind of bundled into the other comments we had on 904.
Right, I'm just looking for which provision, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, which,
Yeah, I mean, because the example I was thinking of was the building that I purchased recently, and they had the owner had a for rent sign up for 2 years. But she didn't really, I don't think she responded to phone calls.
right, so
So,
I just cannot find the right language.
Definition of
Thank you.
property.
Thank you. Okay,
yeah,
so
it's the second page under, right above the 23-2.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Actively marketed
Yeah.
by its owner for sale or rental should not be deemed a vacant property for the
Yeah.
purpose of this.
Right, active, I would
It's-
say active.
it's the one, yeah.
Means
It's
active,
wrong.
you would have to actually,
List it.
yeah,
Okay,
you would have
yeah.
to be involved in,
Okay.
yeah.
Like, would it
So
have
that's
to be
good. I just wanted to-
active, I would
Yeah.
say you would, I mean, you don't
An
have to
MLS,
have,
right?
you may
Has to be
not,
on
yes,
you may not have to have, but you have to be, because MLS, I guess you wouldn't have to,
Basically,
Well-
if somebody, for example, had a for rent sign in the window.
and they're not doing it.
And they're not actually renting it,
That's
then
not
you
active
could
market.
challenge that it's not active.
Absolutely.
That's
I think
my
active
question.
means
And
active.
that
you're doing
part of the
things.
exception also requires that the other parts of it be fit, so that the property where all the building systems are in working order, where the building and
Yeah.
grounds are maintained in good order, where it's
Yeah.
habitable condition, otherwise suitable for the use. And
Absolutely.
No, I'm comfortable with this, I just wanted to,
Yep.
just dot my i's and cross some t's.
Right, that only speaks to the vacancy portion of it
Okay.
versus the remainder of the condition, so it still has to be in good condition.
Sure. So I think with that, if there's a motion,
All over.
second.
I'll second.
Ms. Hook,
Yes.
Mr. Maggie?
Yeah.
Ms. Steeler?
Yes.
Ms. Weaver?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes,
This item is ordinance 904. It's a second reading public hearing on our revised property maintenance ordinance. Reggie, could you read by title?
An ordinance of the Borough of Hopewell, County of Mercer, New Jersey, regarding property maintenance and amending chapter 3 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Hopewell, 1975.
I'll ask, after a brief explanation, this was introduced last month. This is a more advanced set of tools to give the borough the authority to step in for neglected and vacant and under-maintained properties, particularly ones that have been a problem in the municipality. There have been some where we've worked with our health officer, zoning officer, construction officials, so there just wasn't anything in our code that let us do something. This was developed to give those folks in the borough some added tools so that we can take some action when properties are severely neglected without being specific. At our meeting, and I'll ask Lisa to chime in here in a second, at our introduction, we had some very good comments. One of the common things traditionally in these ordinances that is the telltale sign of neglect is untended lawns. The idea of what a lawn is and what landscaping is evolving, so that natural lawns, meadows, stormwater basins, green bio retention things are not meant to be that perfectly edged spring lake type lawn any longer, and want to make it clear that we weren't looking to regulate that. We did make some changes to this that I believe are kind of on the nature of examples to make sure that it's clear that's not what we're talking about, but aren't big enough changes that we'd have to reintroduce the.
That's correct. That's correct. And the ordinance that's currently before council includes those amendments. So the request would be that the ordinance as amended be considered for adoption. So, and then there's a memo that describes these changes, but like I said, those are the changes that are in the version that was made public, right, Reggie?
Yes,
Yes,
and I'll
the
note for
public has
those,
it, yes.
who grab our ordinances online, they are both on. If you go to our recently adopted and pending ordinance, page on the website, you'll see ordinance 904 revised and the original one, so you can see the differences if you'd like. So I will then open the meeting to the public for questions, comments, and testimony. The public hearing on ordinance 904. If you're online, please push the raise hand button. Seeing no one in person or on the online, I'll take a motion to close this portion of the meeting to the public. So moved. Second. All in favor? Aye. Next, I'll entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 904. Yeah.
Sorry. I do have several questions about the current version. Some are pretty straightforward. But I think that the biggest one for me is items 3 and 4, keeping the premises free from brush piles, weeds, including ragweeds and poison ivy, dead and dying trees, tree stumps, uprooted roots, and obnoxious growth. Any firewood shall be stacked neatly and raised a minimum of 8 inches off the ground. And then number 4, the ground shall be maintained to prevent infestations from insects, rodents, and other vermin and pests. I don't actually, number 4, I'm not quite what that is specifically saying. I mean, and number 3, keeping the premises free from weeds, and I don't mean just, yes, obviously, I like what Lisa added, how she made the revisions for the meadows, but if you've got, keeping your premises free of ragweed and poison ivy seems.
Well, I can speak to some of that. So we have a home in my area where I live that was semi-abandoned. And one of the ways that the health department was able to get involved was because there was a lot of poison ivy that was growing untethered or whatever, and people were walking by and getting hurt. Yeah, right. So I think it's extreme situations like
maybe the word excessive in there, because when I'll be honest, I have a little over an acre in the borough, and I don't think it's possible that there's no poison ivy on that acre.
I don't think it's for anything like that.
Right.
I think it's a situation where we have 4-foot high grass in this property.
Yeah.
And it.
Yes, and I agree, that is what we are trying to prevent.
And
Yes.
3-inch diameter vines of poison ivy going up the side of a building, I mean, you know,
Yeah,
that kind of stuff, you know. all
I'm
the
not
time.
challenging that at
A little
all.
bit of this stuff, nobody's gonna come with a magnifying glass and say, aha, I see a poison ivy that you put your.
Right.
They don't have the resources with the desire, so.
Um.
And I
And,
think if it was gonna be noticeable, it would be an active
Right.
nuisance, it would be like out on the sidewalk.
yes,
Otherwise, it
Yes.
probably would be noticeable.
yeah, and I like, the word active nuisance,
Yeah, this
Or
was
adding an
this is
excessive-
basically abandoned with untethered.
Right.
So that's, I think, what.
Yeah.
It's also, I mean, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but Lisa, and if you look at that language, the preamble, it says the owner or tenant shall also be responsible for, and then it says there's the list of things that you're supposed to
Okay.
do. I don't see something that says you're gonna get a violation because you have.
We're doing that, okay.
I don't know, am I correct in saying that? I mean, there's a list of general expectations here, but, I mean, does that mean that if you literally had one of the things on this list, you know, at some diminished level, I
Yeah.
don't think that means that.
Yeah, and I keep a brush pile at the back of my property all the time.
Right, but you don't have it in the front yard.
No,
And I
no,
think
but
that's
but it
what
says the premises, it doesn't say, that just,
And that's actually in the township,
oh, good point.
so you can talk to them about it. Yeah, right.
And oddly, poison ivy is one of the few things we actually can regulate now.
Yeah.
That's not new in this.
Yeah.
And it's a native plant, but that's.
Yeah.
At least, I mean, I just point to, a valid one,
Maybe
is there, it seems like there is, an intention here, or if not, maybe it's written that way, to have these be, a series of things that are required, and that if you had one dandelion or I don't know,
Right.
weed or something.
And
it's
also,
not a bad-
weed's
that's not-
an
that's not
objective,
good,
a
but
subjective
yeah,
word,
yeah.
like, I
Uh,
feel
that-
like
that
dandelion.
unless it's overgrown and neglected vegetation, that it wouldn't necessarily be.
Well, overgrown and neglected are good words. There's also, I mean, if I'm throwing words around the word, making a reasonable effort or something.
Yeah.
There's probably ways that, I mean, but I also think, and maybe I'm wrong about this, I mean, it all depends on who's doing the enforcement, but
Yeah.
for the most part, I think the assumption is that whoever's doing the enforcement has discretion here. They're not gonna go, I see one poison ivy leaf, I'm giving you a citation. The obvious purpose of this is for yards that are just out of control and being abandoned and neglected, so. And I guess the question is how much of a concern we really had on the,
Over, use of it to punish or something, like punitive.
I don't
Yeah,
think- I don't think we have the-
that would be my fear.
I don't think we have the resources, we have all to exercise that level of
Right.
control or inspection.
Okay,
If you think about it from a practical standpoint, I mean, we don't have weed police.
Just giving us tools that we
I mean,
need.
we don't even have our own real police.
my other question goes to enforcement, the maintaining the sidewalks, 100% on board with that, we've definitely got some dangerous sidewalks issues, but how are we seeing the enforcement for something like that? Cause that's something that we currently have.
We do, because there's somewhere in the ordinances, a thing about, I think, I can't remember what the maximum offset is, it's supposed to be in the sidewalk, it might be an inch or 2 inches or whatever, and I know we've gone through various cycles
Right.
where the borough engineer would do inspections and people would be
Yeah.
told, either you do it or we'll do it and assess you for it, that's not happened in a long time.
Right.
But, and we also, of course, regulate, shoveling of snow, in a separate ordinance, but,
I would say, well, one of the realities, unfortunately, of the resources that we have,
Yeah.
that there's not the resources to have people to kind of sua sponte do this, as a, kind of a roving patrol. And honestly, at times, we don't have resources to, after, even when it's been brought up 3 or 4 times, we don't really have resources to foster. So it is a bit self-limiting in that way, that we don't, have full-time, zoning or health or construction people to do this. It's really, when there's the practical reality is that when there's going to be a accumulation of complaints, currently there's not really much they can do even when it gets to a tipping point, and then they would have something to do. I think you made a good point, Lisa, is there, in the way that it's written, I think that there is some understanding that this requires either, some, it mentions blight, some threshold that it's not just if there's one piece of, you know, and this is not what you're saying, but you know, if you read it that way, then, you know, one piece of weed or something, and all of a sudden you could be taken to municipal court, and that seems.
Yeah, we're not saying for, you know.
Also,
I don't see that why item 3 needs to be as specific as it is. It doesn't. Say minimum requirements. And I think we're all in agreement on what the spirit of this is, and it just doesn't read that way in reality to me, but.
in terms of enforcement, it might be helpful to note that whoever's enforcing they can't just come out and issue a notice of violation and say, you're in violation, you're going to municipal court. That's not how it will work. They have to provide notice in advance and an opportunity to cure whatever it is. And even to get to that point, I think there are going to be communications before that,
Right.
if there were issues. So you're not just gonna find a complaint in your, complaint to go to municipal court in your mailbox. So there would be.
But just as an example, like kind of weaving back into that, native landscaping look, if like at the back of my property, I when a tree fell down, I just intentionally left the
Right.
laying tree there. So if my neighbor didn't like me and wanted to complain about it, I could go back to the paragraphs you added and said, no, this is part of, like, I don't have to remove my laying down tree at the far back of my property because it's.
I don't think you would have to, because let's go back up to, the revision.
That's what your added paragraphs.
The added paragraph, yeah, and it's,
Okay.
because it is, that is an environmentally beneficial landscaping practice to allow a dead tree to
Right.
decompose.
And maybe just to add, this does not create any kind of private right of action. This would still require
No, these
our
are,
zoning officer or construction official
Right.
or someone to make a resource decision or essentially
Right.
act as like a prosecutor, decide that it's worth their time to pursue a claim.
I guess somebody, theoretically, someone could file a private complaint in municipal court and then they can try and prosecute it themselves. Is that gonna go anywhere? Probably not. So
This ordinance allows that?
What's that?
This ordinance allows that?
That's a good question. Usually what happens is the zoning officer go to the municipal court and file the complaint. Usually, or, but that's in the discretion of the zoning officer as well. So a private cause of action.
Can we just add I either remove 3 or add in the word excessive? I'm just trying to make it clearer for the next zoning officer. This is if it's what we intend.
You can put the word excessive in front of brush, well.
Yeah, the way section 5 reads, accumulation, it's not just a.
Or accumulated again.
Yeah, no, there's.
We have a lot of ordinances that, we have ordinances, noise ordinances, for example. It's not like you get a ticket the moment somebody's dog barks the first time. If they ever get a ticket, which is pretty rare, it's after the dog's been barking for 3 weeks straight, and there's been 5 complaints about it, and the owner hasn't done anything about it, which is why these things exist. They're there to give you a tool to respond to something that's egregious. They're not there because we have unlimited time to run around with a magnifying glass and inspect people's yards. I think we should probably have a little bit of comfort that from either a practical or resource standpoint, that's not possible. And it's also not the objective. And I don't know that we're ever gonna have a town that has so much staff that we can literally be going and it's like your lawn is 4 inches high, it should be 3.5. I just don't think it's gonna be.
I think it's good this
And
way.
you-
I think it has to give us the tools that we need and it's not gonna be over enforced.
And in terms of, I think it really is important that the enforcement mechanism is that the first step under the ordinance is for the borough to send notice.
Right,
That we have this issue and here's a period of time to correct it.
exactly.
But so that's what's in the ordinance, but in reality, what usually happens is the zoning officer goes out first, even before that formal
The
notice.
zoning officer can say this is perfectly reasonable.
We're saying this is not a problem. I've spoken with, this isn't, if it's at the back of your property, we're usually, I don't know for sure, but I would think most problems are on the street side with people.
Yeah.
Or
A lot of
if
times
Oh, yeah, and I
they're-
would say, if you've got poison ivy growing in your front yard, you need to get it out.
right, or if you have it growing and it's so bad that it is going onto your neighbor's property, but
Absolutely.
if it doesn't affect other people, then I can't imagine, that it's going to become an issue. So there is going to be discretion.
I
You
think
know,
it's fine, right?
You could add more specificity, but then in doing so, you could lose some flexibility.
Right.
So it might be one of those cases where, similar language has been used in other municipalities and it seems to have worked. So you can see how it goes. And then if it isn't working, if it's not what you intended, if it's being abused, then this can be amended. Just as easily.
And, when this was developed, it was with, your and Doug's kind of pulling from other towns where it's been successful,
Right.
rather than problematic or abused.
Absolutely, absolutely. It does require discretion and I mean, a main goal is to eliminate blight as well. So you have to
No,
think of it in terms of,
I absolutely agree.
this is not to
with the
create,
spirit of it.
because you do, I mean, private property owners there's always an ability to go after your neighbor. I mean, aside from what's in an ordinance, there are private nuisances that they can claim. So this isn't going to necessarily give people more ability to come after their neighbors. I mean, they could say, well, your ordinance says this, but it's
a tool.
But it would give,
these are public
if there are
nuisances.
legitimate problems where there are complaints where the zoning officer or someone just was unable to take action, it would have.
Right, if it's something that's not covered by the ordinance.
People, let me put it this way, I think people make complaints regardless of what the rules are. In fact, usually in spite of the rules and requirements.
They do.
And the situation that we unfortunately often have had, and the reasoning for this is not, because our zoning people are using too much discretion,
They don't have
legitimate complaints. It's that there are legitimate complaints that are unactionable because our rules don't allow. So I guess I'm leaning a little bit towards the, trusting that we will have appropriate discretion and that we will correct that if it's not used properly, either through personnel or amendment, but that to give, to trust that there be some correct use of that discretion and stronger tools to have more, authority. But
I agree.
I don't necessarily,
And these are intended to deal with public nuisances, so if you're on a piece of property where it's in the center of your property and it doesn't impact anyone,
Right.
and no one has a right to go on your property, so I mean,
Technically not.
right. It's tough to imagine it becoming a problem, but yeah, this'll, it may just take a little bit of time to know how successful this is too, but I don't, we haven't heard of any other problems in other towns where similar language was used. And, we did look at a number of other ordinances to see what's out there, and and based on my experience, it's usually the egregious cases where you have enforcement of these types of ordinances where the zoning officer goes out and tries to have a conversation and nothing happens, and it's, and it just escalates and escalates. Well, you need a tool like this in those cases. So it's, again, they don't want to just come after people.
so
I'll
put it to the group if we have a motion as is or.
I'll move it.
So we've got a motion, just as currently written. Second, any further discussion or other motions before?
Ms. Hook,
Yes.
Mr. Mackey,
Yes.
Ms. Steeler,
Yes.
Ms. Weaver,
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Also thank members of the public who comment on this in advance too, and our attorney for helping us address those in a way that let us continue to move forward. Item 10, which is ordinance 905, second reading public hearing on our funding ordinance for the Department of Public Works facility. Reggie, if you could read by title.
Bond ordinance providing a supplemental appropriation of $630,000 for renovations of and expansions of the Public Works facility in and by the Borough of Hopewell and the County of Mercer, New Jersey, and authorizing the issuance of $598,500 bonds or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost thereof.
Thank you. Apologies, I don't remember the exact date, we met so many times in July, or if it was June, but we, at a recent meeting, had a presentation from our architect, with potential plans of what we're working on for, honestly, modest improvements, to update our public works, facility. This is the next step towards authorizing the steps towards the funding towards that. A lot of work still needs to be done on the final designs, the cost estimates, and other things we can really move forward, but I'm really excited. The building team, professionals, and these upgrades, it's not really fair. These are things that our amazing public works team really deserve, and I'm glad that it can move forward. With that, I'll open the meeting to the public for questions, comments, or testimony on the public hearing of ordinance 905. Seeing none in person, remember to push your raised hand button if you're on Zoom. Seeing none there, I will take a motion to close the public comment section of ordinance 905.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, I will next entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 905.
I'll second.
Ms. Hook?
Yes.
Mr. Mackey?
Yes.
Ms. Steeler?
Yes.
Ms. Weaver?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Got only a couple of motions in our consent agenda. So for the library, new hires, and some administrative things to allow our new administrator to step into a couple of projects, including the Safe Routes to School program, which excited to see advance. If anyone has any things they'd like to pull out for further discussion or to go on separately, if not, I'll take a motion to adopt resolutions 100 through 102.
I'll
Second.
second.
Who was second, I'm sorry?
Sherry.
Ms. Hook?
Yes.
Mr. Mackey?
Yeah.
Ms. Steeler?
Yes.
Ms. Weaver?
Yeah.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Thank you. Next item, we all received a copy of our municipal audit, and I think on our desks today were some additional positive comments from our CFO. I don't believe this is time sensitive. People have particular questions. We can certainly ask our CFO or get more information, but it appears that the information required is there, and that ultimately there were no comments or concerns raised by our auditors, which is always an excellent thing. It was good. So again, I know we didn't have a lot of time to look at this, but so happy to go either way. This obligation is essentially to say that we've received it through a motion.
Received it and at least looked at the recommendations, and there are none.
And there are no,
There are
it's easy to look at the
specific
recommendations when there
actions.
are none, which is good. So with that, I'm happy to take a motion, or if someone would prefer something else, I'll take that as a motion.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Roll call on this one, or? Yeah.
Ms. Hook?
Yes.
Mr. Mackey?
Yes.
Ms. Steeler?
Yes.
Ms. Weaver?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Right, next, we had a updated bill list here for claims for payment. Happy to take a motion to pay this month's bills. Second. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Hook?
Yes.
Mr. Mackey?
Yes.
Ms. Steeler?
Yes.
Ms. Weaver?
Yeah.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Next item, proclamation this month, and I'll just use another opportunity to remind everyone, but there's a lot of things happening in the borough next week. Two very important things on Thursday, September 11th itself. Mentioned earlier, our water information session that evening. As I mentioned at our meeting last month, the borough is being honored this year by having a installation of a piece of the World Trade Center be transferred here on September 11th. The Hopewell Valley Emergency Services has arranged for an artifact that they've obtained to be on display at Borough Hall. There will be a transfer ceremony here at Borough Hall that everyone is welcome to. It's should be at about 9 o'clock. So if you intend on coming, please come a little before that, maybe 8:45. And if you are coming, please do not park in the parking lot. Actually, the emergency services will be doing the ceremony to transfer the item to Borough Hall. Actually, kind of in the parking lot. So please park elsewhere. We'll have it marked off. But they will be doing a procession throughout Hopewell Valley, stopping at the elementary school at about right about 9 o'clock, and at the expected arrival is right about 9:10, 9:11 the morning next Thursday. So everyone is welcome to come and participate in that. And this proclamation is to in honor of that and to thank our first responders and emergency services representatives for their efforts in arranging and having us participate in that this year. With the apologies, the text of that to come. Next, mayor, council liaison reports. Feel like lately I've been picking on Anthony at going first, and he's traveling, so I'll look at that. So we'll start. We're closest to where he would normally sit. Deb, if you want to go first.
Sure, so the library board met on Tuesday night. As we voted, or as you heard tonight, there's some new employees being hired. They're understaffed and very, very popular right now, so we need more people to help out. We're having a lot of success with teen events, and we will be adding one very soon to talk about e-bike and also electric scooter safety. We're going to partner with the Hopewell Valley Police Department and the library to host some events and bribe kids to come with pizza and ice cream, and try to get them to wear their helmets and ride safely through town. We don't want any accidents. There also are virtual reality sets now available, which are huge, they're able to be checked out, and huge, very, very popular. Yep. And I guess the bigger news is that there's a survey that's going to be going out to the community very soon, just to talk about what people want from the library, and what we can do to add more features, to help get people to come even more to the library than they do. From the recreation committee, I guess the big thing coming up is that we're closing Columbia Ave for most of the length of it. We're very excited about that because it's very heavily attended on those streets, as Sharon can attest to. And
Just last year on Halloween, not Jennifer.
I'm sorry.
You buried the lead.
I know, I'm sorry, I'm thinking, and for Halloween, and we'll partner with the police on that as well. As far as upcoming events, there's the Porch Fest on 9/13, the Harvest Fair on 9/20, the Halloween Parade on 10/26, and the Tour de Arts on September 27th and 28th. Personnel committee, we have not met lately, and grounds and building, we just voted on it. Every building. So.
Nice step. These are foiled method outside. How do you want to go next?
For the Hopewell Valley Green Team and Hopewell Borough, and the Hopewell Borough arm of it. The Hopewell Valley Green Gathering is an annual event that the Valleywide Green Team puts on, and we will be hosting it here in Hopewell Borough at the train station on Thursday, September 25th. At 6 p.m. at the Hopewell train station. It's an event for local leaders and environmental activists, anybody that wants to get involved environmentally. And an invitation will be forthcoming to everyone from Joanne Held shortly. The local green team, the borough arm, is working with the Harvest Fair on their sustainability efforts, specifically their waste stations. We're going to try to minimize the what goes into landfills there. Just a little Harvest Fair plug. The almanacs are out, folks.
Oh.
Go and get it in the local shops and places. I do have a few with me now. And I'm just pleased to say that in general, the Hopewell Borough arm of the Green Team is really growing. We've had several new members join recently. We were formed with the intention of achieving sustainable jersey certification for the borough. While that does not look like it's in the cards in the immediate future, I really am excited about how the small group has successfully engaged new community volunteers. We've been making connections between those people, and we're making our small steps. You know, Trex Recycling, we have a monthly tent at the farmer's market now. So for anyone interested in joining, we do have regular meetings now. The first Wednesday of each month from 7 to 8 p.m. At the Hopewell Public Library. The October meeting will be on the 8th, so it is not on Yom Kippur. So it's October 8th, November 5th, December 3rd, and January 7th. And those will be on the borough calendar. And we always welcome new folks. We are having our next Community Zero Waste potluck on Sunday, October 19th from 5 to 7 p.m. And what we've added this time, looking towards Halloween, is an optional costume swap at the potluck. So you can, if you want, you can bring a costume or two and get one. You're not quite ready for Halloween. So, and I put a flyer up at the back there, and I will we'll share it out on social media and whatnot. The Open Space Committee did meet via Zoom in August, but pretty much the entire meeting was an executive session, so I don't have much to report there. And not exactly a committee report, but from Downtown Hopewell, Restaurant Week is September 13th to the 20th. That information is up on the Downtown Hopewell website. And the large Downtown Hopewell map is probably going to be installed in the pharmacy window tomorrow morning, weather permitting. So we're pretty excited.
That's
it.
All right, thank you, Heidi. I just a follow-up question, and if this falls into someone else's report, just let me know. In addition to that, the really cool map window cleaning installation that's going in, I've noticed, and this is a request for plug, some other improvements to some otherwise unused windows and storefronts in town, and I just, if anyone has it, is that something?
You see
No, it's, I know it is. It's
Okay,
one-
okay, so.
Okay,
Yeah, it's the Arts Council.
it's here, yeah.
Oh, they got.
Yes,
Yeah,
they're,
They're using the Old Brothers Moon, and they're gonna do art installations until the business opens up there, which is supposed to be
Yes.
relatively soon.
Yes.
Great.
so
Yes,
I love
that's
it,
what-
my leading question resulted in that, yeah, so it's particularly neat at night, there's like actually fluorescent rock installation at the
Oh, I
moment,
haven't
which is
looked at it after.
very cool, and I
Nice.
hopefully assume dark side is why too. But,
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Sorry, thanks. Cherry, you wanna go next?
You.
Sorry, we're off balance here, I feel like we're.
Yeah.
Garth, not.
No. You got it? You can do it.
It's really short, so, for August, fire department made 38 calls, EMT made 60 calls. I don't know if everyone heard the 2 a.m. call a few nights ago. That was a really devastating house fire in Pennington, but 52 went and helped out with that and was able to save the whole family. Couldn't save any of their belongings, but the family was okay. But if you're wondering what the 2 a.m. siren was about. And just a plug, their fire departments have ladies auxiliary that does all the sort of the support for the fire department. And Hopewell Borough's lady auxiliary has
Disbanded, right?
sort of disbanded, there for illness and just various reasons. So if you know people that are interested in volunteering, it's really a great way to support them. You know, they would have the Mother's Day flower sale, they would have the quilt sale, but it could be as easy as bringing sandwiches, at 2 a.m, when they have to go out, bring breakfast the next morning, things like that. So feel free to contact me or the fire department if you have anyone who knows anyone who would like to volunteer.
Quick question, like what would you say like the weekly hourly commitment would be?
It could be an hour.
Okay.
It could
So
really
say
be,
anything.
there's nothing right now,
Anything
so
you can do.
yeah, it could be anything. They had at one point, they had, I can't remember what they called it, but it was almost like a babysitting service for, if it was, someone had to bring their kid in order to make the call, they would bring their kid to the firehouse and someone would go and hang out their kid, so it could be something as easy as that. So
Second question, do you have to be a lady?
no,
Good question.
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no. Yeah. With 50% confidence. I'll find out, I'll find out.
This is auxiliary.
It's not
Yes.
auxiliary,
Just
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Make a good stand.
You can start like a helper.
Yeah, yeah, good question. The EDC met with New Jersey American Water to learn more about the impact of our current water system on local businesses, and I think it was a really productive session. And a few of us will be attending the Independent Business Alliance meeting. Thank you, Mayor, for sending that along. Princeton has like a,
The part of the Princeton Chamber?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, and
I don't remember something, but I appreciate
yeah,
it.
you did. So we'll see. We'll see if that is something that could be useful for our merchants, because we have the majority of our merchants are very, very small, you know, a single owner, less than 5 people, and it's hard to get resources for that size of business. So we'll see.
It's membership too, right? To go to chamber, I believe.
Yeah, I'm gonna, because this is like a subset, so, and they had it before, and I guess there's like a reboot of it, so I will report back. Senior Advisory Board is having their annual picnic on September 11th, so could be a very busy day. Come here in the morning, do that in the afternoon, come to the meeting at night. And Shade Tree took the summer off, so we will be meeting on Monday. And we're looking for a new secretary, because otherwise Beth is gonna quit and she can't quit. Please, let me know if someone would like to be secretary, so she can stay.
Nice.
Sure. David, want to go next?
Sure. A lot of regulatory stuff this month with water, just sort of conflicts of things. So we got out our latest PFAS public notification letter, very exciting stuff. We were able to at least close out another violation, which had to do with zinc orthophosphate, which we're getting 2 letters together, which made it even more thrilling. And this one, we still had to send a closeout letter saying, yes, we're done. We're sending you this letter to tell you that we're done. This is what the process is. So anyway, we did that. Goes back and forth with DEP. Very time consuming thing was all that had to do this month relative to lead service line replacement, the lead service line replacement inventory, progress report, and identification and replacement plan, all of which have to be updated every year. This year, I guess the DEP decided that the old system was just too convenient, and what they really needed to do is have an online system to submit all this stuff, which apparently wasn't even functional initially, so they had to extend the deadlines by a month from July into August because it didn't work. It was a bit challenging, and I probably spent I spent a couple days preparing the stuff, and then another good 2 4-hour sessions with Dave Mosnick and Mark Sked from Boswell Engineering, actually perfecting all the stuff and getting it into the system and getting the errors corrected. So that was a Kafkaesque thing. Anyway, it's done, and hopefully it'll be easier next year. Working on a short 2-pager kind of summary for on the water sale issue with Sherry, where and it's 1 page. Maybe. Don't side, one place, perfectly good piece of other side piece of paper. And so that's a work in progress, but we're getting there. And there was one oh yeah, I can't really talk about it in detail, but I'm really onerous over a request that I'm dealing with. Anyway, so that's oh, and no planning board meeting this month as we know. So I have nothing else to report. Thank you. Chris?
Okay, just because I haven't been here doesn't mean I've not been busy. So Jerry and Mayor Kennedy and I have been meeting with New Jersey DOT approved engineering firms to select one to help us with the design for the Safe Routes to School grant and implementations. If we hire one of these pre-selected engineering firms, we can get up to $750,000 in additional design funding. So to be clear, that is in addition to the $1.51 million we've already been awarded. So a possible total of over $2.25 million in funding for design and implementation. I will note, however, this is federal money. So, it's, yeah. Even at the best of times, it's slow moving, so, we are making progress and we're keeping all the digits crossed and not being wood. But yeah, so we have our final interview tomorrow morning and hopefully we will choose our engineering firm after that. I met with Mercer County's Vision Zero Steering Committee last month and we discussed plans and goals moving forward, including pending legislation to allow automated speed cameras in school zones, which is really long overdue. During the meeting, complete and green streets policies were discussed at length, particularly how smaller municipalities are struggling with implementing the policy due to lack of resources. I then met with representatives from the New Jersey Bike and Walk Coalition to discuss their experiences updating complete streets policies for Montclair. Been very successful, obviously a larger municipality than we are. But after talking to them, I do feel confident that we can update our policy, which is important for many reasons. In particular, I've noticed more and more funding opportunities require municipalities to have an updated complete streets policy. And also you can integrate your Vision Zero policy with your complete streets policy. So that would be a good way to do that and stay in step with the county. And for the record, our current complete streets policy was adopted in 2012. So I think it's about time for an update. Our Vision Zero resolution was adopted in 2022. And as the author of that resolution, I can confidently say it should have more depth. It is not great. So I would love to upgrade that as well and integrate that with the complete streets policy. So basically, the too long to read version is updated complete streets equals more money. And I think that if we do hustle with this, we can probably adopt it by the end of the year. Hustle is the key word with that. And lastly, the traffic calming initiative for North Greenwood. Remember that guy? Yes. It's not dead. But we have had many unfortunate setbacks. We had to do a redesign. And also, as you know, Elizabethtown Gas has been digging up North Greenwood Avenue. They are going to repave it. So we have all the materials. We are ready to go. However, Elizabethtown is planning on repaving within the next month or two. So we're not going to install them. It's going to be ripped up right away. So basically, once it's repaved, we will get it done. And if this is not done by the end of the year, I might have a full-on temper tantrum. We'll see.
Oh,
Because
maybe
this is
let us
good.
know ahead of time.
No, you're gonna have to. It's gonna be a surprise.
Okay.
But I mean,
Live
it's
stream.
been a long time, and it's just like such silly things got in the way. But it's our first time doing something like this, so it's a learning experience. We'll just call it that. But it is an important project just because it again shows our commitment to pedestrian and bike safety, despite our limited resources. And once it's successful, it'll be easier to implement this on other roads. The end.
Christie, you just reminded me of something water related.
Temper
You
tantrum?
were talking about, no, but I mean, not one of those, but I mean, no, I just, and I'm trying to learn. So Mayor passed on to me and to us, to the team, an email, or a notice from Senator Cory Booker's office on some federal grant opportunities, and there was one there related to water, and I just wanted to, tell you a little story, because I think this is maybe illustrative of where we are with grant opportunities for water. So this was for resilience for water systems, and it was actually only available to middle and large size systems, which is very strange because small ones are the ones that need it the most. And but what was really interesting was that the total amount of the grant program for the entire continental United States was $9 million. And as some of us who were involved with our class action litigation know, I believe the estimate, Lisa, correct me if I'm wrong, for the number of publicly owned water systems in the United States is about 10,000. Yeah. So if we do the math on this, we have 9 million for the entire United States. I mean, I was thinking resilience. Yeah, we could use the generator. Well, number 4, that's about 50 grand. Or maybe we could use some engineering design money. I think if you do the math on this, that maybe counts for 2 or 3 hours of engineering support. So if that's an indication of what's out there for water related programs under the current administration, then don't hold your breath. Anyway, but for explaining.
So then we will continue to scour those opportunities and even pass along eventually one will be.
Yeah, I mean, we keep
Line up.
running.
Yes,
that's great. You're on it, and they're giving us another. There was another one also, I think, had to do with it was the USDA grant that had to do with, I think, substandard housing rehabilitation, remember that? And that was like 23 million for the whole country. So that actually take care of all of our housing problems. Yeah, just my commentary. Thank you. Giving me a little airtime, of course.
A couple quick updates from me. Again, reminder that our information session is next Thursday, 7 o'clock. The water system. Really do encourage everyone to watch and to attend this one. And if you can't, video will be posted afterwards on our website. There are several commemorative ceremonies coming up for September 11th, including Hopewell Valley ceremony at Woolsey Park this Saturday at 11 o'clock. It's always a very moving ceremony there. Again, a reminder of our own installation and ceremony here at Borough Hall on September 11th, just before 9 a.m. The honor guard procession will arrive here right around 9 o'clock. Another plug for the Harvest Fair on the 20th. That's the tradition of Borough Council to serve and sell what cotton candy does not stick to our bodies at the Harvest Fair. Always a fun day to get to talk to folks and sell cotton candy. I have a couple of updates from Anthony, Councilman Fuller. There will be a webinar, these are from the Board of Health, I believe. There'll be a webinar on health concerns of poultry and how to keep them safe, hosted by the New Jersey Department of Agriculture on Tuesday, September 16th at 6 to 7. That's virtual. I believe I'll get the information out on that, though I don't.
The question, can you keep chickens here?
I think that's a better question for our attorney.
Can you keep chickens here?
I don't think so.
I believe you can, just pick a rooster.
That's the
Ordinance
I
regarding.
remember.
I'm not keeping it.
I think it's actually best that we don't speculate on
Right. There are, just so you know, there are people in town that have chickens. I'm just saying.
Anyway,
Yeah.
the annual joint meeting of the local boards of health will be held at Hopewell Borough Hall on Wednesday, September 10th at 6 p.m. That's right here. Involve presentations from the Community Health Improvement Plan and also Healthy Homes and Childhood Led. All residents are welcome to attend. With that, Jerry, our administrator provided his update and report. If anyone has questions or does anything you'd like to highlight, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to, I'll provide a quick update on a couple of the things that I mentioned in my written report. As you all know, I'm about a little over a month into my employee here in the borough. I've used that opportunity to meet with various consultants, stakeholders, and community partners to just, get up to date on the issues and the priorities going on here within the borough. So a couple of those items that are a result of that, I'll touch on now that have already been touched on, so I won't go into too much detail. Related to the safe routes to school, I'll just add to the councilwoman's comments that after our interview tomorrow, should we decide on a consultant, I'll begin the process of providing the statutory paperwork to provide to the state government to, approve us moving forward on that. And I've also signed up for the class at Rutgers University to be the responsible person in charge to administer that grant. So, we'll be compliant with all the statutory regulations as it relates to this program. Also on the traffic calming on North Greenwood, I will assure you that as long as Elizabethtown is complete with their project, when they say they are, we will get this done and we'll have no temper tantrums. I'll give you no reason to have one, I promise. But we will get that done. I talked to the township since our last meeting and they approved via resolution our ability to do some striping that extends over to the border, past our border. So they were very helpful with that. I'd like to thank the administrator over there for working with me on that issue. On the DPW building project, we approved the resolution tonight. So now that we have that, I submitted a plan of action to the building committee as it relates to timelines and timeframes and what we anticipate as it relates to bid specs and project completion and shovels in the ground, etc. So we are at that point, we're in the professional stage, we have some money that we have to allocate by November to be compliant with some of the federal grants. We are in the process of doing that. And I have no concerns that we will have that money encumbered and allocated in compliance with that federal grant. As the mayor said, I had the opportunity to go there and, we use the word upgrades because it's by definition an upgrade, but these are necessities. And these gentlemen work hard and, the facilities there, by no fault of anybody else, just the nature of how public sector is. They're just not up to par with what they need to be doing to be successful here in the borough. So, we're looking to change that, and I'm looking forward to getting that project moving off the ground. Lastly, on the technology front, we're making some progress on the website migration. And I mentioned to the communications committee a couple of weeks ago about transitioning the borough domain to a .gov domain as opposed to -mj.us domain. So I sent out an email with a couple different ideas for names. It's basically 3 different iterations of names. I have to follow up with all of you on that. I don't think, based on everybody's comments, I'm not sure there was consensus. Everybody liked one, liked another, liked one. Here's the good and pros and cons, but I don't certainly want to be the one deciding what that domain should be. So I'll send out an email again and see if we can get some consensus. I've been a part of this migration before. It's not that heavy of a lift, from the .gov transition and our website migration. I've also been a part of, and we're about, I would say, 6 to 8 weeks away from getting a proverbial first draft. They're taking all the information from our website now and putting it in to the new website. And then from there, we'll be able to look at it, give comments, make comments within the platform, and then we'll make changes accordingly. But the design you selected, I put forth was that selection number 4, I believe it was, and they are moving forward with that. Otherwise, in addition to all of the items in my written report, I have nothing else I'll highlight for the moment, other than to tell you that I will have another report 60 days after that meeting.
I just want to comment, given that you've been here for a little over a month, I think you've redefined hitting the ground running. The number of things that you've had moving, your juggling skills are exceptional, so thank you. And we haven't scared you away yet, so.
And I just wanted, not to interrupt I just looked at the provisions in the zoning ordinance regarding keeping chickens, and technically it is prohibited except.
We never went, it was the township that changed their ordinance and went through the whole thing.
Right, where they probably allow it, but you have to have certain coop.
And you only have to eat in a rooster for.
There are certain hours in the day.
Darn.
What am I supposed to do with all my chickens now?
This,
No, it's one.
this is something that a lot of towns have looked into recently, and it's something that you definitely can look into. It's.
Seems like we have nothing else going on.
Right. Or not.
Maybe it's the most challenging.
Yeah.
It can be introduced.
Well, and a list of things that may not necessarily be book. Anyway, Jerry, thank you, and Lisa, thank you for that as well. We'll now open the meeting to the public for our second and final public comment question session. You're in person. For the second one, we do try to restrict this to 3 minutes. If you're in person, come on up front. If you're online, please press the raised hand button. Seeing none, other than perhaps an extreme interest to see the beginning of the Eagles game, is maybe what I'm feeling. I will take a motion to close this public portion of the meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So next thing, we don't usually have business after this point. I'm about to ask for a motion to go into executive session for legal advice from our municipal attorney. We'll do that. That means, unfortunately, you guys have to step out. I'm saying on our updated agenda, we actually will come back and entertain a resolution to appoint our current municipal attorney as special counsel. So there will be some business done afterwards. So feel free to stick around. I don't expect executive session will be particularly long, but there's no specific time frame on that. So with that, I'll take a motion for resolution 2025-15. So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'll thank everyone here in person and online. I'm at a moment going to mute and turn off our camera and put something up on the screen for those of you online who will return later this evening and act on, or at least consider action on resolution 2025-15, which would be titled appointing Mason Griffin Pearson as special counsel to Hopewell Borough. Those of you who are on the online, we're just concluding executive session. You probably can't see it because the camera's not pointing that way, but the door has been opened and no, there's any members of the public still here, but they'd be flooding in, I assure you, if there were. With that, I'm assuming public session, and I would take a motion to approve resolution 2025-105, appointing Mason Griffin and Pearson as special counsel for Hopewell Borough.
I'll second.
All right, that's David first, Krista as a second.
I'll roll call. Ms. Hook?
Yes.
Mr. Mackey?
Yeah.
Ms. Steeler? Ms. Weaver?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Right. Finally, I will take I'll just note for the two people online, I happen to be looking at the calendars. I usually try to announce when our next meeting is, and I believe because of the Yom Kippur holiday in October, that we are on a non-standard date. I believe we are the second Thursday of October rather than the first, which I believe is the 9th. So with that, I will take a motion to adjourn. Deb is the second. All in favor? Aye. All right. Thank you, everyone. See as many of you as possible next week. Thanks.